There we go. Whoa, it's Reviews Day, everybody. It is Awestruck Comics Podcast Reviews Day.
This is where we take the most recent comics and tell you what we think, usually
Right.
in a positive way.
Most of the time, yeah. I think that I'll be. I liked a lot of stuff this week. Kind of kicking right off. And so again, check all the socials. We're going to start plugging socials. We're going to be on a couple extra things. We're easing into it. We're figuring it all out. Lighting, mics.
Every episode we hope sounds better, looks better, is more informed than the episode before.
Yeah.
Unless we're tired, because we are old.
Yeah. Last week I was exhausted. This week I'm much better. I'm much better this week. So but yeah, we'll pop right into reviews. Action Comics still going and still
weekly,
really good.
Weekly and good. This is much better than the weekly version we got in the 80s.
Yeah.
That was rough.
That was rough. Bad. How many stories were in that typically?
Usually like 3 to 4.
4.
But Superman was only like a 2-page spread in the middle. I mean, I was like, nah, I need more Superman in my Action Comics. This is me. If I go back in time, I'd be like, listen, John Byrne wants Superman. Just give him Superman, or give him a book called Superman, Man of Steel. The idea of the Superman book that had been going on for 50 years, let's change that to Adventures of Superman, which back then, people started putting Adventures of Superman, he went to a comic store, in a different bin, because now it's Adventures of Superman.
Right.
It's like, no, this is just, and then John Byrne relaunches the new Superman book just called Superman. Wouldn't the smarter idea have been, hey, let's leave Superman alone. It's an established 50-year-old comic.
Mm-hmm.
And John Byrne, since you just did a miniseries called Man of Steel, let's call the new Superman book Superman, the Man of Steel.
Right. Which they did 5 years later. 6.
Yeah. Which you know what I mean? Like you made something unnecessarily confusing.
Right.
Because now people go, and when they change it back to Superman, some people go, well, what counts? Adventures of Superman, because the numbers line up, or the 200 plus issues of Superman? The obvious answer is Adventures of Superman is officially the numbers, but like you went back. I think it wasn't a good idea then.
Right. Well, even the Marvel stuff is kind of funny. Like Journey into Mystery went into Thor's Journey 82 issues, then 83 then turned into Thor, and then when Thor went to Heroes Reborn, when he went to
Heroes Reborn, then
they just turned that back into Journey into Mystery.
Kind of funny, nowhere near the impact of changing a Superman title.
Well, exactly, but yeah, it's just But what's weird about that is that, and they did the same thing with Hulk, where Hulk turned into the Incredible Hercules for a while, and then when they like converted it back to Hulk, it's like, all right, we're just canceling all Incredible stuff. Like Incredible's gone now, no legacy.
But then like when Red Hulk hit like number 13, that was technically Incredible Hulk 600.
Well, Marvel just likes to just pop an anniversary issue every which way. There was 1 or 2 years ago where it was like every third issue was a
then
double,
Incredible
triple
Hulk
size.
came back with 601, and Red Hulk continued too. That's a real bastard of numbering.
Well, it's just convenient. I forget they had one, and I know that I think Bleeding Cool did the math, and they're like, "This is not the number. I don't know what you're where are you finding these?" I forget what it was, but yeah, no research. But no, so yeah, Clayton Henry, and again, Matt Herm's on colors, just ridiculous. I really liked the backup on this one though, and this is not the regular
story.
Yeah, but it was a different artist, Megan Hetrick. I think she might have. I don't think she's the regular artist, and I think she's drawing in Procreate just by being in that program a little bit. Because the hair is really cool. Like there's at the very end, and this is why I hope next week we'll figure out like the video component, because I want to just kind of clip art stuff and then just kind of pop to it. Because I don't know. I mean, it looked really. It was like almost like charcoal hair, like hair under hair. It was just great. Like it just looked amazing. And I've seen her on stuff here and there, but it never really moved the needle for me. But this was great, and the other artist is great. So. That's the fill-in, and then again, you still have the Kong Keenan storyline with Superboy,
which I dig always,
which is good. Yeah, and that's funny. But do you? I feel like he has to, but to me, it's chronologically, I would think Connor would be more mature, but he kind of doesn't play that. Maybe he can't do that.
He had great growth spurts during Jeff Johns' Teen Titans run.
Right.
Incredible growth spurt. In fact, that was the most interesting the character had been since the early Kiesel Grummett days.
Mhm.
Because Jeff Johns loved Connor Kent,
Right.
Superboy. And then of course New 52 happens. They forget about him, bring in the new Superboy who's like the Superboy from Young Justice, the cartoon.
Right.
But then Bendis comes back. He's like, oh, here's Connor Kent on this other dimensional world. And he's like helping a woman like raise her kid. You think it's his kid, you know? So it's like years have gone by and he's a little more mature. And then they're like, let's not read that.
Let's not count that.
Like,
Well,
no,
they got obsessed with the which was basically like almost an Elseworlds, and then they just made a continuity, like the Lee Weeks series with Dan Jurgens,
right.
below the Superman and Lois.
What was that major storyline? Because that miniseries came out of the
Convergence.
Convergence, right? That Superman showed up in Convergence. Then they turned it into Dan Jurgens' Lee Weeks miniseries. And then they're like, everyone seems to like the Superman. He's the Superman everyone had since John Byrne's 1986 Man of Steel miniseries. Like the New 52 Superman was always a mistake.
Yeah, they always knew that was it. So they just were like, we'll just make it this, and then they got a kid. He's got a kid now.
Yeah, and New 52 Superman died, but his essence kind of went into Chinese Superman, Keenan. Whatever, I forget his name currently.
Convenient.
But like all that stuff, but like part of his memory went into Dan Jurgens' official, post-crisis Superman. Post-crisis Superman's back. And that's Superman right now. But things have there's other things still melded into him.
Right. And that's where, because they were obsessed with having that new Superman, having the son of Superman. They're obsessed with
like that
having
idea.
Jonathan. So, and also Clayton Henry drew that miniseries. If you remember that was the electric. He did the electric son of Superman. Clayton Henry drew that. So that's where I was like, so he's been on this upward. What do you think you first saw? He had an image book I think it's the first time I saw him.
Clayton Henry? Did he draw Alpha Flight for Lobdell back in the late 90s?
That's right. Yeah, that's where he came over. He did something else.
See my ass mark? I just pulled that right out of it. Like,
yeah, but so we have a couple more issues of this, and it goes to Gail Simone or something. Gail Simone Barrows, or we already had that. Did I forget that one already?
Yeah, we got that one.
Yeah, I forget it. I didn't think it was very.
That was kind of like Superman Muhammad Ali, but without Muhammad Ali. Aliens come down, he's got to fight them. Good. It's weirdly set. Yeah, it's TV reporter Clark Kent, which I don't know if that happened anymore. Now it's probably be like YouTube channel Clark Kent Bulwark.
Well, yeah, I wonder if these are not not. It's almost like they don't have like a Legends of the Dark Knight for Superman. I almost feel like they should. Maybe that should be Action Comics, like the superstars, which they're just kind of putting people in and they're saying they're superstars. Again with Slott coming in, we'll see if that's not even confirmed. The Slott thing, Dan Slott. But we get a couple more issues of I don't know how Wade did this. Did he have these in the drawer? Or he's been writing this for a year.
I think he's writing it for a year.
Yeah, it's kind of neat though. Yeah, really solid. Batman, I hated as usual. I hate this. I can't wait for Chip Zdarsky to be done. I don't like that this is so this is Bruce Wayne's potential half brother who's kind of like a Batman. I just don't want any of this. I don't even want to talk. I don't want to talk about it.
I kind of forgot about what happened.
Yeah, because it's not then, I don't know. I don't like it. I just don't like it. I can't wait for his run to be done. And I've read Batman since 1989, like consistently. And I never really had an issue with a writer and wanting them to be off. I didn't want Tynion to leave as early as he left.
Because Tynion didn't expect to stay. He was always supposed to be in and out. And then it's like, oh, your stories are really good. Oh, we like your new Bat characters. Oh, that's,
Yeah, I think that a lot of the ideas and a lot of the characters he brought in, and I also think that there's a big problem with not making new characters. I think there's a big problem with that. I feel like even when we talk about all the stuff that's announced, it's all licenses. It's not new licenses. So here's the other thing too, like Hercules, right? So we're 50. We're not quite 50, but we're almost 50. Like
that was old.
They're
when
still
we were
marketing,
kids.
right? But they're still marketing to 50, and we're only getting old. Like that's it. We're only getting older and older.
Who's doing a Bluey comic?
There should be. I would imagine there should be one.
I would imagine like that would be a lot of money for a comic creator to do.
No. But it's even like the Rick and Morty are all going to be they're either, stoner college kids or they're our age,
Yeah, that's
you
true.
know. So there's not like that. So
But
if you
but
have those
those two groups of
stories,
people buy comics.
yes, it's just I just don't know. I feel like, but I felt like when Tinian was making these, like when he made Punchline, Clockmaker, like he was making these really intense new characters,
Right,
and they
right.
were really good.
Clown killer, clown puncher. I don't know.
Yeah, it was
No, they
just
were
like
they were cool. The
they were all
ghost,
very like
ghost. What the hell's that? What was the ghost character name?
I don't remember. He was in again, we're no research and we don't remember anything. We're old men.
We have vague ideas of how things used to be.
Here's things used to be, but I thought, but it felt like fresh. It felt very Akira. Like there was a lot of like Akira influence in some of that stuff. All the design, even when they had like some of the future state stuff, they did some like, and it wasn't even Tinian. I forget who did it, but I know Gian, who did Prophet for a while, Gian Mila Giannis.
Oh yeah,
He did a black and white like Red Hood story in like a future state book that like would no one cared
I
about at
remember.
all.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love this. This is kind of great. I love that. And the art was
you know, you know,
amazing in it.
I've heard bits and pieces of what was going to be 5G and what was future state, and it's all a mess. Some stuff gets used. Some of Mark Russell's Superman stuff I think is in Space Age. Like stuff's just all over the place.
Yeah.
One of the weird things about 5G is, do you remember the Grant Morrison Superman Authority like annual in the beginning before it
Yeah.
led into the miniseries?
Hmm.
That who wrote the miniseries? Was that Philip Kennedy Johnson?
Yes.
So
Hmm.
anyway, that Superman story starts off in the 50s, like Kennedy's, or like in the early 60s, Kennedy's president. And that's supposed to be DC continuity. And it makes no sense.
Right. Right.
Just a weird, like, this isn't continuity, is it? Because that's Kennedy as president.
Right. Right. Yeah, we should probably do like a so because it was what was ending there. They didn't do five. Basically, they were kicking Dan DiDio out. He was trying to do 5G, and then they just kind of oust him, and they don't do 5G.
No. And 5G it did not look good. It was a
And
bad
then
move.
and then they all just were just making these like then they just kind of pushed everything into like make a miniseries, and it doesn't count.
See, in the 80s, like if comics were the same way they were 40 years ago, like 5G is almost a move. Like Crisis on Infinite Earths spurred the new continuity. But when you
Hmm.
try to do it again for 52, it doesn't work. So the idea that you were going to do it again for 5G would have been a complete failure. You might have got a couple of neat stories out of it, but line wide, bad move. Superman's too old. Superman's losing his powers. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, right, right,
not good.
right.
Not a good idea. Jeff Johns actually made a good point of it during his Infinite Crisis, when he's like, I think Alexander Luthor, the bad guy, went after like Kyle Rayner and Tachyon, and like, why is he going after these
Mm.
types of characters? Like, oh well, that's the new DC universe was supposed to be these guys. Like in the Silver Age, we got Barry Allen. Well, in the '90s is Wally West.
Mm.
Like
Right,
Tachyon is the modern age's Captain Marvel. Like this was just going to be the new universe, but the DC universe stuck around. So that's why like you have 3 or 4 Green Lanterns. That's why you have these similar characters. Connor Kent would have been the new Superman. It was a
right,
neat
right.
it was a neat Jeff Johns idea that like the new universe reset got stopped. Maybe by the death of Superman. I don't know.
Well, I
Or
think
maybe by Zero Hour.
yeah, I think we should even explain the fact that the reason Crisis happened is because they literally had and depending on the book you'd read, and I'm not to that in my Batman reread, but one book you'd read where it was like Bruce Wayne with white temples, married to Selena Kyle, daughter's Huntress, like that, and then you'd read a Batman book that's evergreen Batman, just Batman,
Right.
like just Batman, Batman. That's it.
But you
And
understood that
Superman,
was a different Earth. You
I
understood that
understood.
was
Yeah.
right.
But I feel like when they tried to streamline it and then they make Crisis and they're like, we need a push. We need sales to be X. Everything is continuity and it's all squished. Right. But like,
Yes.
and Superman was he has white temple. Like yeah, white temples were the thing. You know what I mean? Like, but that was what you had that separate, you had a separate Superman continuity. So squish it all together. But I even think that I think it's funny that it was an accident. It was just names. So Julie Schwartz says, we need to. Was it a copyright thing for Flash and Green Lantern? But he just hired new people. He's like, here's some names. It doesn't have to
Yes,
connect to the old thing, and then they just make a new Flash
right. The
showcase. Then
Flash,
they make
Flash and Green Lantern, Adam, all their books had been canceled in the 40s, post World War II, and into the 50s. These characters just weren't popular. Like most superhero books weren't popular, with the exception of the mainstays of Batman and Superman. Even Captain America became what Captain America weird suspense stories.
right. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
like it was like, hey, I'm Captain America. Here's a bunch of
Adventure
kids fighting
stories.
monsters.
Right, right, right. Because
Yeah.
it wasn't.
So
It didn't matter. Right.
but Superman Batman had always been published. So it got to the 60s, superheroes are trying to catch a little, or the 50s, I'm sorry, catch a little weight again. It's like, hey, let's bring back Green Lantern, but make him totally different. And then we'll bring back Flash. He's exactly the same, but he's a totally different person.
Right, right, right.
So I had
No.
always wondered why they didn't do like an Hour Man. Like do a 60s weird. Like I thought it would have been cool, like 60 Hours Man powered by like his watch or something. It's got a magic watch, what gives him an
Yeah,
hour of power.
I want to say that there's like a bunch of Airwave stories. I'm trying to think who drew them. It was like George Rizos or something like that, and they were like really colored, really weird. Airwave was like a
That's neat.
backup in something. Yeah, I was like obsessed with them for a little bit. They're really good. And then Airwave was drawn by like Alex Siviak when they was in like might have been in Action or something. It was in Action or Detective. They would have an Airwave backup, which is kind of crazy. So
Now, did they stop Hawkman and then restart him in Brave and the Bold?
I almost feel like that was. I think so. Yeah, I think
Like he
that's
he wasn't continually published like Superman and Batman and Wonder
no.
Woman. Can't leave out Wonder Woman. She never stopped being published either.
Right. Well, that
I
was
mean,
more. I feel like that was. I think the Wonder Woman thing was more of a situation that was like a copyright thing.
is no, it's better. If there's a month that Wonder Woman's not published, the rights revert back to
That's
the
right.
William S. Moulton
Yeah.
estate.
Yeah.
I love it. There's a
Yeah.
DC and DC almost messed up once in the 80s. Like around Crisis, they ended Wonder Woman, the first ongoing series. And before Perez launched his book, they had a month. They're like, oh shit. So they hurry up and had to rush out this Wonder Woman special.
Oh, that's a Katrina Robin special or
Yes.
something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's right. Holy crap. I didn't know
Whoo.
that.
Can you
Yeah, right.
imagine?
But see, DC's kind of not proper, has always been bad at that, but that's how Michael Uslan got film rights as like a 25-year-old kid for like a handful of money, like a couple
Yeah.
10,000, 20,000, something very small. So there literally is zero Batman projects without his name on them that he's
Yeah.
made money off.
He's always the
So
producer of any Batman
yeah, he's good.
project.
He's good. And if anyone can see him in person speaking, he's awesome. Michael Islan. I saw him at New York Comic Con. I think he did. Like it was like an hour long, just him talking. It's awesome.
That's
Yeah,
that's
he's
phenomenal.
really, really good. But yeah, there's since I guess since '86, Frank Miller. You know what I was thinking about today? We should pull up lines of books or books that would have never happened. So if it wasn't for Dark Knight Returns. Like I should grab a book and pick it up and say, would this have happened if Dark Knight Returns or Watchmen didn't come out? And you go, yay or nay. You know what I mean? Like no, like because the Shadowline saga, right? Is it Shadowline with Saint George and like what's
Oh
that?
yeah,
What's
yeah.
that
No,
epic?
no, not Shadowline. Is it Shadowline?
I don't know.
I feel like that
Shadowline
was Jim
is
Valentino's
yeah,
imprint
right.
image.
A critical mass and stuff. I don't know because
Yeah, yeah.
I did pick up that one Jim Lee book. I gotta find it, but like I would love to see that. Like, do we think this would have been a thing? Uh,
Oh, you know what's funny, Mark? Now that you mention it, I thought this up a couple weeks ago. Um, Cable is Dark Knight Returns Bruce Wayne.
okay.
Like, I think he's like, Live was like, this is a good, I mean, obviously changes, but like the way he talks, the way he acts, the way he rallies his New Mutants, I think
Right.
I think that's a
His
strong connection.
mutants. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, I never thought of that.
You know,
That
until
works
like
though.
recently.
Yeah.
I mean, Livehold's a huge Miller fan.
He's a huge old man fan
He
too.
is. And
He
now
had it.
we're old man. And
I know.
both an old man and old man.
Do you think that's the thing is you get like an older cartoon that's just like I'm going to make it because I'm creaky. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he was like 20 when he created Cable.
Yeah, that's
He
true.
was so young when he created Cable. Like he saw it back then. I mean,
Yeah, but that was but he
what's
but
his
was that $6 million man though? He was trying to do like a $6 million man like
he was
macho Lee Majors.
Macho. It was $6 million man. It was Dark Knight Returns. Bruce Wayne. It was Terminator.
Mm,
It was everything that it is. That's what creators do. We take a little bit of everything we love and see what the soup boils into.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Um, but I want this Batman era to end, please, soon. Thanks. But then I'm gonna get, well, I can't even say that I'm gonna get something recycled from like the Jim Lee, Jeff Loeb, because Jeff Loeb's killing it
Jeff
on the
Loeb's
other
doing
one.
such a good
So
job with Last Halloween. I'm sure his next Batman run's got to be better, as long as he's writing it and not plotting scripting it.
as long as Jim Lee, right, right. I think Jim
Yeah,
Lee's probably gonna have a say, or he's
he
gonna
absolutely has a
have,
say,
yeah.
but I don't want this to be done Marvel style. You get a better book. This is
Well,
heated when I
it's
say this.
not
You can
really.
you can get a. I feel books are better when they're written than drawn, but like communicate it with the artist. Hey, Jim Lee, what do you want to draw this issue? I want to draw 7 pages of the Batcave. You know, okay, I'll work that in, and a writer can come up with something cool.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, versus it coming back to you, which was the Travis Charest, like here's 8 pages of a tank,
yeah,
you
that was
know.
not written that way, and the story it's beautiful looking,
Right, but nothing happened in that
but
issue, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah, I
yeah,
know. Listen,
you
there are some
subtract.
artists. There are
I
artists who can make things better. Like
right,
McFarlane made Peter David's Hulk better, and the
right,
great story. I think we brought it up on another show where he took a Peter David script, just cut it in half, and drew the first half as a full comic,
and
spread it
turned it
out.
in. Right.
Yeah, turn it in, and Marvel's like, yeah, we just got to publish it. Don't do that again. Wink, wink.
He wasn't on there very long. He wasn't on, which is fine, which is fine.
It's a shame.
I hate those
I think
covers, man.
here's the thing.
I hate those covers.
345, I think, was his last issue, double sized. Okay. 346, Eric Larson pencils it from McFarlane layouts. Okay. 347, Hulk fights Spider Man. Wouldn't have that been a better issue for McFarlane to leave on?
Right.
And then
Who drew
three
that?
Jeff Purvis.
Yeah.
Jeff Purvis took over 347. And 350 was that incredible Hulk Thing fight where
Mhm.
Thing's like stronger than Hulk,
Yeah, yeah.
which is an incredible issue. I can't stop saying incredible. But it starts off in Fantastic Four and it's not well drawn. I forget who drew it. Um,
Oh,
just weird. But it's a great issue because in the Fantastic Four issue, that's when Thing's all souped up and like got all the extra rocks all over him. They're kind
right,
of
right, right,
pointy.
right.
And Thing beats him. Thing beats the crap out of Hulk because Thing is stronger than a Hulk at that point. When Hulk's gray, he only can lift like 80 tons. He was weaker. He still gets stronger, but he starts off at a lower point. So when Peter David writes him, like Hulk like takes him underwater and fights him and uses all strengths against them. It's a really great fight. Incredible Hulk 350.
It's so funny what we remember of that. Like you remember all the weights of what everyone could pick up,
Yeah,
you know.
because I was a weightlifter and I love that stuff.
Yeah, but not in any proportion that makes any sense.
I was not lifting a half a ton or
Right,
a quarter of
right,
a ton was out of my reach.
right.
Maybe an eighth of a ton. I don't know.
Well,
Stupid.
what's 1,000 pounds? Nothing.
That's out of my reach. Remember, you like,
Uh,
oh, this guy can only lift 1,000 pounds. That sucks.
right.
Like,
Yeah, yeah. We would go through and be like, oh, I would think that would be better. We would think they're wrong. That's our early critiques, Got our trading cards out, we're like, this is
oh
not
yeah,
right.
if a trading card like was wrong from the Marvel Universe book, I'm like, nope, you got
Yeah,
it
that
wrong,
was no good.
card.
Way to go.
I remember,
Um,
I said this to Liefeld, the Deadpool card, like Spider-Man, Nightcrawler, and a Thing. All of their agilities were at a 6. Okay, on the cards, and the cards went up to 7. I'm like, I feel like Spider-Man's agility is like a 7, but
yeah.
whatever card. And then when Liefeld puts out the Deadpool card in X-Force One, his agility is a 7. I'm like, no way. And I went up to Liefeld. I'm like, what?
No way.
Deadpool's agility is 7? He's like, yeah, man. I'm like,
Oh, you could just at that point you're just making up. Like, what's
I
my
don't even know why I
character? I'm
said
gonna
it to
make
him.
it
Like,
up.
who the hell? Yeah. He's like, fuck, it's all.
What year
It's,
was that? You
I don't know, dude. It was like early when I first started like talking to him.
Oh my God. That's
He's
the
like,
fight.
yep.
That's the conversation you have. The conversation. I used to premeditate my questions with who I'm talking to, like ridiculous. Like, and then it
Oh,
would just blow up.
there's definitely stuff I said. I'm like, why did I say that?
Yeah.
It's just hanging, especially
But they would
when you
blow up.
first meet someone, because you're like kind of nervous, Like I'm hanging out with Rob Liefeld, getting lunch or getting coffee. I'm like, what do I
Yeah,
talk about? Sound
Magnola was
cool.
great with me. I like I mean I asked him a couple questions about like how he planned like all the BPRD stuff, and he's just like, it was just three of us. It was just him, John Arcudi. He's like, that's why it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
He's like, and then they would have an idea, and then I would incorporate Scott Alley. So it was basically two writers and an editor, and that was it. Because I asked him like, did you know that the little baby in Course Iron Shoes was going to be like the love interest? And he's like, no, of course not. He's like, but I just kind of took different like nuggets of things and just tried to slowly pull them together. Um, yeah, just cool. That's such a good, you still got to watch Drawing Nightmares and you still have to watch Crooked Man. So it's all on your
Yeah.
homework.
All right.
Speaking of collaboration and like subtraction, like when as far as that is that I remember Wade talking about Wade and Somni doing the Batman and Robin year one. With I didn't write down who colors it, but it's not Jordi Belair, but a lot of oranges, but they're like it's like a pastel orange, and I don't love it as much as a lot of his other ones. It's not Matt Wilson, but I don't love it. It's a newer person, and I don't love the coloring as much as I love to. I think it was Matt Wilson and Firepower, and it might have been Hollingsworth on Daredevil. But when he was doing Daredevil with Wade Somni, Chris Somni, he said
Right.
that they got some type of rhythm that he never had before, and he said he would subtract. He would take words away, which is what I know James Robbins said that before too. He would get something back, and go, okay, I'm not, and then just take it back or
Yeah. Like
slightly rescript it.
when we were talking about writers earlier and how like a book could be better when it's written first, a talented writer knows when to let the artist go. A talented writer knows to just back off, to take words away. That's all really important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, I think I'm more specific talking about just Jim Lee. It sounds shitty, but like Jim Lee's better, I think, when a writer takes more control. Um, and a great example of that is Justice League. The
Mm-hmm.
first six issues of Justice League, they're pretty good. Jim Lee drew it, Jeff Johns wrote it. But when Ivan Reyes takes over and Gene Ha does, like these other people do issues, they're better. They're better paced.
Right. Second and
And
third
I
storylines, fourth story. And then we went to Fabok. Then it was another person he could collaborate with and to
yes.
either take the script or elevate the script. I'm not sure which, but
So there's, I don't have anything against the Marvel method. I just think it works better with some people than other people. And I think with Jim Lee, it works worse doing the
well,
Marvel method.
yeah. Well, you got to think about this is that Jim Lee, when I think about it, I think of two different Jim Lees, right? There's Jim Lee student Jim Lee. Jim Lee student Jim Lee is drawing over Carl Potts layouts. That's him learning. And then
Yes.
Carl Potts is either editing or writing Alpha Flight. Mantlo also. I think Carl Potts might have been editing that. So that's how he got some job over there. And then he got into the X office. But for the most part, after he got a little bit of power, I imagine the Claremont was full script, right? So you do the Claremont, but pretty much from
Yes.
from X-Men 1, X-Men 1 I feel was probably Bob Harris like elbowing Claremont because that
I think
X-Men
Jim
1
Lee,
doesn't feel like he's like I want it to be like I don't know if he had a heavier plot or what or you
or he
know
was drawing stuff that wasn't there. And then Claremont's like, okay, I guess I'll script what you drew. I think it's a little mixture. I think, yeah. I think Jim Lee, the student, is the student up until like X-Men 1.
mhm,
Up until,
right.
and when Claremont leaves, you clearly see that like something's missing out of the story.
Well,
Still
he's
cool
just
looking
going to do
stuff.
whatever he wants, right?
Yeah,
But
still
that's him.
cool,
He's
but
guided
not
everything. Wait, so it's because he wanted to draw Ghost
maybe.
is that was one of the rumors. That was like one of the rumors is like I want to do Ghost Rider and Claremont's like I don't want to do Ghost Rider. It's
Yeah, but
like
you know what? McFarlane had just drawn him so awesomely.
yeah,
So
right.
like there's an opening there that's like, yeah, no, Jim Lee would draw an awesome Ghost
Yeah,
Rider.
I want my hand at it. Right. I
Guess
want
what?
my
Guess what? He did draw an awesome Ghost Rider. It looked cool as
yeah,
shit. Not as cool as McFarlane's.
right. Oh, that McFarlane. Yeah, I can put that right there.
I tried drawing it. I actually have a couple of Ghost Rider drawings I did that
Oh,
were
I gotta
very
get my Gamut
McFarlane
drawing.
inspired.
Next week I'll bring my Gamut drawing up from
Yeah.
downstairs. I gotta get that framed anyway.
When we
That's gonna be really
when
fun.
we can showcase things, we're going to basically have a show and tell of like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
stupid drawings, old comics, and neat things we find online.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I used to love when Brian would come over. Like we used to hang out every Wednesday night. I'm like, look, here's all the neat comic things I found. Here's a page of original art. Here's an unpublished cover. Here's an idea that never got anywhere. I love, here's a neat sketch by McFarlane nobody ever saw before. Like that's the type of stuff, I like to find. Here's an unused New Mutants cover. I have two 3 unused Liefeld New Mutants covers.
Oh, I don't know.
3,
Yeah.
and not just the Cougar one. You know,
Yeah. We gotta
I'll
do it. Yeah, we gotta do a rare art one. I saw yesterday. I was on something. I was looking at an old alter ego, and it was a sword and sorcery book, and it had McFarlane's scan of his Conan cover, and he wrote his name really big. He wrote Todd
Mhm.
McFarlane in the UPC symbol. So while it's not like a drawing of Conan or an extra drawing that was erased by a UPC or something. So I'm trying to hear what you're
I'm sorry.
saying.
Usually I can hear when my wife tries to talk to me. Usually I can hear her, but I got headphones on now, so I
Now,
can't hear her.
now you can make an
And
excuse, be like, I couldn't
I
hear
am horrible at lip reading.
you. Yeah,
I cannot do it unless you say the F word. That's the only thing I can ever
that's
make
the
out.
that's the very specific one.
Yeah,
So
because it's in every movie.
yeah.
But yeah, I can't. And she hates it because I'm like, what, what? But
Right.
meanwhile, if I like whisper something, she's like, "What'd you say? I heard that." I'd be like, her hearing's so much better than mine.
Yeah. Some all the UPS days.
It is
Um,
too much time in a loud truck.
but like, what did you think of the? I think this Robin's really good. I think this is a really good
I think it's a
because
really good
he's
take. Yeah,
he's a
it's
showman. You
he,
forget that. That's the thing. That's the thing. Because I feel like this Robin story it's always the same thing. It's like he's going to get into trouble,
yes,
and then Bam's going to pull him back and be like, "You can't be so
yeah,
reckless,
yeah.
kid." You know what I
But
mean? It's
like
like the same thing.
now he can be
They're not
reckless and
doing
like,
that.
oh, I'm okay. I can do this. I've done this. You
Yeah.
don't like the amount of hours it takes to get to be a performer. Like he's like 12 years old and he's already got his 10,000 hours. You know,
Oh, yeah. That's a
he's
good. That's a good.
he's
Yeah.
better than Batman at certain things.
Right.
You
Right.
know, all the flipping, the catching. He's more skilled.
I wonder what they're going to do after this. I don't even know how long this is. Is this 12? 6 or 12? I
I
don't
don't
know.
even know.
Yeah, I'm not
No,
sure,
no,
but
but it's good. I wasn't looking forward to this
it's really
book.
good. Yeah,
Was not
it's really
looking
good.
forward to it.
I dropped off of World's Finest. I don't know. I
Nope.
was kind
I'm
of
still I'm
barely
still
holding
digging
on.
into it. I know.
Was this week's okay? Did you read this week?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think so. Couldn't tell you what happened though.
Um,
Real
my,
quick, back to Action Comics before we go too far.
mm.
The Superman story itself is great. The stuff on Krypton, I really thought he was going to do the
Oh
Jerry
yeah.
Siegel Return to Krypton story,
Hmm.
where like he meets Lila Laurel,
Yeah, can you
falls in
talk
love.
about the what happens at the end basically? Like basically he has to fly away. Like he
Yeah,
knows
he
he
has to
can't
fly
stop it.
away.
He has to fly
No,
away.
because he knows
So
there's no universe without a Superman. You know, he know he needs to exist. But also, if he stops it, then he's never become Superman
that's the whole
to
time,
go
right?
back in time to stop it.
To stop it. Right. Right.
So
That's
really
the
good.
Yeah. No, the him
So
flying away was some really good art, and that was really like impactful
did you
for
ever
sure.
read Return to Krypton,
I
the
don't think
original
so. I think you've
1960s?
told me about it a few
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
Well, it's important to me because I named my daughter Lila after Lila Laurel from that
Right.
story because that's who Superman falls in love with. And then Alan Moore has Superman marry her in for the man who has everything.
Right. Right.
If Superman had stayed on Krypton, he would have met her and married her. Although technically speaking, Alan Moore would have got the ages wrong because she was technically his parents' age.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
that story was written by Jerry Siegel, and I didn't know that when I first fell in love with the story. Jerry Siegel, when the
He came back and as just a writer,
just a writer,
which is something too.
and he was fantastic. Like his stories in the '60s are great. He wrote like some of the best. I think Superman Red, Superman Blue, Death of
Mm.
Superman. Like he was just rocking these Elseworld and stories, imaginary stories, I guess they were called then.
Right. Right. Right.
So yeah, really good stuff. And it's so heartbreaking that he had to come back. I can't even tell you. Like they bring this up a little bit. I read the new volume of Max Immortal, Boy Max Immortal,
Okay.
which is
Right.
basically he collected the 3 short stories that he did print on demand through Amazon.
Mm.
He collected them. It's like 200 pages long. I read that this weekend.
Okay.
It's
Nice.
so weird. Did you ever read the original Max Immortal miniseries?
I don't think so. The stuff,
You should.
but I always kind of lose it on the Vice solo stuff. I
It's
read like one or two issues and I'm like, I don't know if I'm getting it.
no,
You know.
you're not wrong because it's like the art is ugly,
Mm.
but the ideas are great. And I'm not saying ugly in a bad way. It's like the people are ugly. His
Right.
art's good. He drew
Right.
Wonder Warthog in this, and I'm like, this looks so, from the '60s underground comics, Wonder Warthog,
Hmm.
great looking. He draws some Jack Kirby stuff. He loves drawing like Jack Kirby. So this is a straight up sequel to the original miniseries from the '80s. They're all worth reading, but they're a lot, and you got to be
Right.
like I actually did not like his artwork for the longest time. It's just dark. It's just weird, but it always ends up being good because the series itself is very meta. Like here's a Superman archetype that's
Hmm.
totally weird and ugly. It doesn't make you feel comfortable while you're reading it. There's a guy, he lives in like a puddle of bat shit called El Guano. There's just he's got no eyes. It's just so gross. There's like some sex in it. But like not like cool. It's like something that's weird.
Right.
Overall, it's just a good book. So I'm glad I read that. But the point I'm bringing this up is there's that. Not only is the versions where it's met is not only is there a Superman character, there's a guy who created the Superman character because he met the Superman character. But so there's like a very Jerry Siegel-ish. I got ripped off. Got sent in the army. I lost
Okay.
the rights to the character. There's
Right.
there's
Right.
and
Right.
there's a Jack Kirby in there who shows up in the '60s, and it talks about the distribution, how Marvel could only distribute like 8 books because DC's distributor was distributing Marvel's books, but DC limited them to how many books they could sell in the '60s.
Right. Right. How many slots?
Yes, Dan slots
How many
coming
damn
to
slots?
Superman. All right,
So bring it back. Bring it back.
so
So the question all along the Watchtower, number one,
I loved it
why is this called the question though? Why don't they just call it Justice League International or something, or Justice League Space or
because
something?
it's the question. It's Renee Montoya. She's the question. It's a shame they didn't follow through on this because they're like, Renee Montoya, you gotta. Here we are on the Watchtower. Something's going on. We need you to figure it out. You're the detective, you know. So these people are going to help you. It's Blue Beetles. I'm like, oh, are they going to give her a Charlton team? I'm
That's what
like,
I
this will
wanted.
be awesome.
Right.
And
Correct.
then they did it. I'm like, well, no.
Right.
Like
Right.
you should
Right.
have given her Captain Marvel and bring in. Well, you can't use that Peter Cannon Thunderbolt, but
Yeah,
you,
Peacemaker is doing something else, but it would have been
Peacemakers was
cool.
yes to
Yeah,
do a
that's
Charlton
what I
superhero
wanted. I
team.
wanted them to do Thunderbolt. I wanted them to Peter Cannon show up.
They
That's what
they
I thought
they
they were gonna
cock
do.
teased us. I don't think
Yeah.
DC has the rights to Peter Cannon Thunderbolt.
Right. No, they don't because I want to say that Kieran Gillen
Dynamite.
did it. Yeah, they did it. That was
Yeah,
great too, by the way.
yeah.
That was actually really something. So, but
So
you probably could just do an archetype. You could probably do like a Hawkwind. Do a Hawkwind. Don't do Hawkwind, but I'm saying like, you
yeah,
can have like an extra character. Who no Bloodwind? He was the
Bloodwind, Martian
yeah.
Manhunter.
You're right, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Spoiler.
yeah. Well,
40-year spoiler.
40-year spoiler. No, really good. Sion Mori is a great, great artist. I
Yeah.
thought it was good.
Storytelling's good.
I
Characters were
thought it was
good.
good. I
But
like the fact that she's just like it's a Western. She's out like and they're just on this like very
it's a
super
Western.
modern.
It's a noir because
Yeah.
Alex Segura is good at writing detective style stories. You know,
Yeah. I'm excited for it. I think it's really good. I think
I
it
wasn't
I
excited for it, and then I read it. I'm like, Mark put this on a list. I don't know. I
yeah.
was just gonna flip through it,
No, I
but
wanted to
like,
read it because Segura, I wanted to see what
no,
was going on
it
there.
was better. It was good. Thumbs up. I was
Yeah.
all struck by that book. I'll
Awestruck.
say it.
And Titans was good too. Titans
Solid.
also taking place on the Watchtower. Okay, so now I would listen. 3 episodes ago, very anti Watchtower because I didn't want like to me, if you're like a Justice League member, if you're an Avengers member, they're just like everyone's a member, everybody. And then, but I did like the first issue of Titans. I must have missed it, but I showed up on the DC app, so I read it on the DC app. Uh, I let me think about this. How many Pete Woods have there been? Meaning, so this is not Robin Pete Woods,
Right.
right? But
Correct.
there's like a middle, but it's not Iron Man 2020 Pete Woods. That was like maybe that's like a middle. That's when he went more digital. And Pete Woods was also on like that Marvelish show, the Marvel show that they had when
Yeah,
they
yeah. That was a weird one.
where they were trying to like they had Dan Slott again, Dan Slott
Dan Slott.
like losing a deadline for Iron Man 2020, and then it gets over to Christos Gage, and Christos Gage gets it over to Pete Woods, and Pete Woods driving in like a Winnebago
Yeah,
like
he's
around the
like,
country. But I thought I read an article that wasn't even a real thing. That was like it was somewhat staged,
yeah, yeah, I read that
So
too.
I can draw wherever I want, and I don't know, but yeah, it would be interesting. I want to see if I could find that. But Do you think it's more of a necessity now that we know what page rates are? So he technically would get three checks, right?
Who? Pete Woods?
Pete Woods, because he's penciling, inking, coloring.
Penciling, inking, color. Yeah, three
Do they
checks.
get a discount on that? Like that's what I always think
Do
it's
they
weird. Like
pay? Do they pay him less for doing all three?
right, like Otto Schmidt does the
They
same
they
thing.
better
Like
they better not.
I mean, they don't get paid very well. Like in like it's probably like 150, 50. You know what I mean? Like per page. Like it's probably
Yeah,
really bad.
yeah. But
Uh,
Marvel and DC have got to be wise to it because with digital art, it's just penciling is the inking. You know,
you
but you still got to
can
do layout, storyboards. You still got to.
right.
It's still a lot of work. It's not that much easier. Like you hear
No,
it's not. It's almost not worth it for some people.
no. And I listened to there was an interview with Mitch Gerads on iFanboy this week, and he was talking about he does stuff digital. Well, he okay. So this is he does the opposite. He draws backgrounds on paper and then scans it in and then draws the figures on that. It's actually the opposite. Most time people will do the backgrounds because they want the lines of the walls, the perspective, the
Yeah,
zoom. Like
you could line it up a little better.
yeah, so I think that would be, but he does it the opposite. But what he's been doing, and he said he wasn't the first one to do this, he does artist proofs. So he will print out like an archive, like on a Gistly, like original art, something that he drew,
Hmm.
um, like that was kind of a combo, right? And then it's has a certificate of authenticity, and he signs it or something like that, and he sells that for like an original art piece, and he will never, almost like an NFT, he'll never print that again, the X page. So this page
Okay.
is worth this, and he won't print that again. So he kind of found a way around it. A lot of people will do, and I know
And
Freddie
it's
Williams does the
probably
same thing
more
too.
affordable. Like you can't overcharge for that.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on the just like any original art. Like
Wait, is he
you know,
drawing the is he drawing the bodies?
no, it's not. And basically, he's printing whatever the black and white proof
Right, right,
that
right.
went to press.
Okay. Okay.
So it isn't even the sketches from what I understood of what he was explaining. It's not even that. So for example, like I'm looking over to my right because I have a Sean Phillips piece of artwork from the first Reckless graphic novel. And what he does is that he draws it and then scans it in, and the letters he it letters and prints from his printer. So the lettering is on computer, and I think sometimes the borders are too. So it depends. So, but that's not like I don't think it. But I like that because a lot of the digital pages you can go get a digital page because they digital after the fact. There's no letters on those pages. So
I
this is kind of
think
amazing. You know what I mean? This is kind of the best situation here that I have, you
some
know.
people, I think Mark Brooks does this. He does a full layout on like an 8.5 by 11 page, and then he scans it, and then I think he draws it digitally on top of that. To where Liefeld sketches like sometimes
Tiny.
it's 3 inches, real tiny,
Right.
flows it up onto a blue line page, and then pencils over that, and
Right.
then inks, and then he inks it or somebody else inks it. I don't know, whatever makes it easier. However you can get the art done, get it done.
Cool thing
But,
there is
but
he can sell
Liefeld,
he can sell prelims.
he does,
Right.
and then he can sell the finished page.
Mhm.
So
Then he can
you're doubling your
remark it.
money.
Then he can get the sticker on it. You know, there's a lot. I mean, listen, they have to be strategic. So I like that there's a strategy here, but I'm just curious. Like I want to see if I can dig around and find a little bit more Pete Woods because this is a reborn Pete Woods, really good. A lot of attitude. It's like looks like Ben Caldwell a little bit.
Uh,
It's more cartoony in the
I can see
face and
that.
stuff. Um, but his perspective is a little bit off. They're also playing around with they don't have a Titan's Tower, but then they go to a spot and it's like Titan's Tower, and then they keep having these flashbacks of fighting with Clock King. So it's like
Right.
I just think I don't know. It was really good. It's John Layman. So I don't know if I ever read John Layman continuity stuff. Does that make sense? Because I read Chew,
Right.
and then I don't think I've ever read anything. And John Layman was editor for a long time for
For Wildstorm.
Wildstorm. Yeah.
He's probably
So
got a lot of great stories.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
heard a lot of extreme stories. I never hear any Wildstorm stories.
yeah. But I love this. I thought it was great, and it's Donna Troy. It's just a straight, like kind of a straight Donna Troy story,
Yeah.
but Nightwing gives up the mantle to lead her to her, and it doesn't feel unnatural. A lot of times you have those books where they would do a power handoff, and you're just like, I guess, like, and I don't think that's mandatory, from
Or
the
or you
Nightwing
do the
comic.
or you do the vote and you get the surprise leader who like, what, me?
Yeah, yeah, but
No.
everyone's gonna be okay with this, But I just feel like, yeah, I don't know, but I've never, I mean, again, besides the Jeff Johns story that you said before, those even weren't our Titans, because they were kind of creating like a new, uh,
Yeah, that's
like
young justice.
youngerish
That's a
Titans.
young justice
Right,
going into the next level.
right. So this is more of like our Titans, kind of, so these old heads basically.
Yeah.
But that was it pretty much for the DC stuff this week. Marvel, I just wanted to catch up on Wolverine. So Wolverine 3 came out, and I don't know, I don't remember. I guess it was Jason Aaron. How many years have I read this Wolverine book and I just don't care? I don't think the Hickman's that compelling, and this isn't doing anything either. The first one had Cyber in it, and
I liked the
nothing has
Benjamin Percy
consequence
stuff.
though.
I liked the Benjamin Percy stuff at first.
How was that? Did you finish that? I got bored with the
I've
Sabretooth War. Did you
I
slog through
finished
that?
everything. Yeah, I did. Well, I love me. I love Sabretooth. Sabretooth is my favorite ex
Yeah.
villain. Um, yeah, it was rough. It started off really good, but
It shouldn't be
it kept
10
meandering.
parts. 10 parts.
Yeah, and it was just they kept repeating stuff, and then he kills Sabretooth at the end, and you just want to roll your eyes. It's like Wolverine gets his hands
Yeah.
cut off. I'm like, oh, I guess there's no adamantium there. Like, that's
Right.
not how it works.
Right.
We've been in this too
Right.
long.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I mean, Martin Coccolo, the art is great. Like it looked really good. I think it looked really, really good. And I like the Department H stuff. I like that being go up there. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's my favorite Wolverine. Wolverine
I
in
don't
the
think
snow.
I don't think Wendigo looks big enough. He's not threatening enough. I know he's like a kid in a Wendigo body. I don't know. When I think
Yeah,
of Wendigo, I think of like John Byrne and of course the McFarlane story. Like, give me a big hulking.
I think of the Liefeld
Yeah,
Wendigo. Yeah,
that's
that's huge.
from the Wolverine Agent of Shield.
Yeah.
That's yeah. He's Hulk size. He's threatening. He's scary. I don't know. He just seems like Sabretooth in size.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of goes back to earlier when I was saying, like, there's no one can create a new character. Like, it's not a thing. We're just going to keep doing the same things,
We're either doing the same thing, slightly changing them,
or a
or
new
mashing them
character, and
together.
just say, hey, it's Wendigo. Okay, like, you know what I mean? Like, exactly. This could be a brand new character. I mean, they're doing some new characters in X-Men, but then that's also a thing. It's like when you do see a new character come out, you're just like, all right, these are Gail Simone characters, and no one ever's going to do them ever again. Kind of like the Hickman characters when the Hickman characters first came out of the Black Order. Like, all right, well, no one's ever going to do this again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's like, okay, God, these are
Well,
very Hickman-y characters.
thankfully, everyone still uses the Grant Morrison characters.
Right.
You
Right.
know, that was the last great. He was probably the last great. Like, he created a bunch of cool characters.
Yeah, and even that's what was also kind of confusing is Aaron goes and does that, doesn't really come up with new concepts. The school stuff, sure, and Latour came in after him, but they kind of again just carried along. You're right,
Yeah, he
the
did
same
create it. Yeah,
characters.
yeah.
Why is Evie Aaron? Does that make sense?
The
Or
blue hair
was
chick.
the one with two eyes, the one with two different color eyes?
Oh.
I don't know. That might have been Aaron.
I
That
don't
might have
know.
been Aaron Bacalo. Bacalo?
I think you're talking about the blue haired electric girl who just got killed in X Force.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think she was a New Mutants creation. I think before Mark Brooks took over the book. Or New X Men. It was New X
New
Men, but not
X-Men.
the Grant Morrison New X Men. It was the New X Men
Chris
Volume
Yost.
2. Yeah, Chris Yost.
Hmm.
He was good at creating stuff. I mean, he created X-23. That's
Why is an X-23 called X-23?
because they like to call her Laura. Why do they call her Wolverine? I don't know. I like when
Don't
they
call
called
her
her.
Wolverine.
I liked when they called her Talon briefly.
Yeah.
That wasn't a bad name. Talon was cool.
Could they have not used that though?
I don't know because there are other Talons.
Because Talon in DC
Yes, I
was,
don't know.
I don't know,
No.
but I
Call
just
her
don't
Claw
know.
Girl.
Like
Claw
War
Ella.
Machine, it's not as if they're like War Machine is Iron Man again. Like it's not like if they get the War Machine, if it's there long enough, and she started as X-23, it's like it's like a what is that name? What is that? And then like and then what it is. So I don't know. I just feel like they should have just left it. They should have just left it as X-23. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be Laura Kinney. Who cares? You know what I mean? Laura Kinney Wolverine. Kind of what is that? It's like Miles Morales Spider-Man. I know what they're doing. I know what they're doing. They're
Yeah.
trying to match that thing. But X-23 was always more. That's always going to be a certain like more
Yeah,
popular there.
it was
So
the title of her first couple of miniseries, you know?
yeah, yeah. So Image this week, pretty good lineup this week. So G.I. Joe, Real American Hero.
Yeah, that
You
looked
know it.
great.
It was
That
really
was
good.
so was that his first issue back, Mooneyham?
Yeah,
Looks so
yeah,
good, dude.
yeah.
Like he took those couple months off and he came back killing it.
Yeah, Mooneyham's something because it looks like Andy Kubert's drawing. It looks like Klaus Jansson's inking it. There's some other elements mixed up in there. There's like some Joe Kubert a little bit too. Like it's messy. Um, but it was all action. It was all action. Serpentor.
Yeah, looked great.
It
So
was
cool
it
flying
was
down.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
It was very toyetic
it was
because
too.
there was a part where Destro flies in on this like helicopter thing, like this little
Dude,
spaceship thing.
they should make GI Joe toys. That'd be pretty neat.
Yeah, they should. Like it's that. I'm just surprised at how like coming off a week was Jeju last week, right? So
Maybe.
you would think there would be like a definite like scale where I'd be like, all right, well, I guess this is still happening too, right? Because I'm so high off of last week's GI Joe, but this was awesome too. I don't know, man. Everything's working on that. Everything's working on
So
that. So
so my wife went to the GI doctor last week. A dad joke of
GI
the
Joe
week.
Doctor.
That's what I said. I said his name Joseph. I'm like, no. She's like, I don't know. Because then he'd be GI Joe.
Um,
And she actually thought it was funny. She's like, I'm gonna
yeah,
ask him that. I'm like, go ahead. They've probably been asked that his whole life.
right. I'm sure that they'll love it.
Gastro, your gastrointestinal doctor.
Jesus. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, next issue in Null Hunter. I still feel like this is like the second mini series. The first issue felt like it was.
That
I
was a
guess that's
lot.
kind of good, right?
No, you feel
But
like you're getting a full comic or more than that out of a single comic. That's good.
yeah, I don't know. Really good. Michael Wall somehow is building a science fiction world. I don't understand this guy, man. It's kind of wacky. His whole like career. I want to kind of go through and like go back because I never finished Silver Coin. I read like one or two of them. But this is incredible. This is really good looking. And the first issue, I got to write down the guy, the artist, because the artist had some other spacey looking thing that's not related to this. Um, and then they mentioned that this is part of some other university thing. So I'm not sure if they're going to do like a Kyle Higgins type of thing where like a Radiant Black type of thing where they might have this mini series going to be this, and then they're going to have like a different character. But I was trying to think of this. This could be just Blade Runner because there is a part where he's just walking through like this futuristic town and it's all neon-y and stuff,
Right.
and he's just this grizzled guy. And but I just yeah, everything about the attitude of it, the coloring, just the production of it's ridiculous. And again, like I said, I'm dropped in, but it's not making me mad. Where I feel like a lot of science fiction stuff I read, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on, and I don't care, and I don't want to know, and I don't feel like I'm in a real thing.
Yeah, sometimes you read a science fiction book and you just feel like it's like ugly heavy metal.
You're
You're
in
like,
love with it, yeah.
or you just don't. They're so busy drawing all the stuff they forget to tell a good story in it.
Did you
You know,
read the
or
one that Becky Cloonan did a couple years ago, but someone else drew it? I'm trying to think what that was called. But that was pretty good. It was felt like Alien. It was like Alien,
yeah,
basically. But that was a good like Space Marine thing. And that was like the first couple issues. I was like, I don't know if I love this, but it ends up being like really, really good. The next issue I couldn't get a handle on. So I don't know. Did you like the Rocketfellers? I did go back and look at the stuff that was in the Ghost Machine number 0, but that was kind of just an interview and some concept ideas. So that is Tomasi, Francis Manipul, but
I,
I couldn't really.
it was okay. It
It's a
was
lot of
okay.
characters.
It's a very good issue one. Um, I don't know. It just seems too cute for its own good. Even though, despite the actual character dies early on, so it feels like he was really cute. We're really the Incredibles type of situation,
Mhm.
but we're going to kill off a character just to show you how serious we are.
Yeah,
Do you?
I even think that the name of it. I think you're right. That's almost like see that you get what we're doing here. It's like a wink
Yes,
in the
it is a lot.
title.
It is a lot of winks.
Yeah,
You know, uh, it was okay. I mean, I'll keep reading it because I enjoy all the Ghost Machine books as a universe, as a series of books. They're good. I mean, the book looks great. I've always loved Francis Manipul art.
Mhm. Yeah,
And Tomasi's good. Some of the best. He did some of the best Batman stories of the
yeah.
early
That's
52.
Correct. Yeah, I think him and Gleason just had like a really good handle, and I believe Tomasi was like the Hitman editor for a long time. I feel like he was. I don't know if he edited Starman for a bit too. That might be possible, but he was he's primarily a DC editor. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, I have to just kind of have maybe I'll do a weekend where I just do Ghost Machine. Like now the Ghost Machines are on issue like right around like 6 or 7, and just try to like just completely immerse in. Because again, being old and like you forget everything, like it's hard, when I pick up something, I'm like, what is happening right now? So it's either got to be something that reminds me. And I think that's why maybe this is the whole industry right now. That's why they're like, hey, we're going to sign this because you remember this, right? You got this. Remember Speed Racer? Remember that? You remember that? Remember
Yeah.
Phantom? You remember that? You know what I mean? Like remember Hercules? Remember
And
that?
then they go, and really, like when it comes to Herculoids and like Johnny Quest, we should be like, no, we don't remember it because it was my
Right,
dad's cartoons.
right.
But we did
Or-
because we're still the generation. It's funny. We're the generation of like we still love all of our new stuff, but we also loved our dad's stuff because we
right.
had access to it.
Yeah.
But there wasn't. But like my kids, like they like some of the stuff that I like that I've shown them, but they wouldn't have access to it otherwise,
Hmm.
except for music. My daughters are very into all sorts of crazy music,
Hmm.
like all the music I loved, all the music I didn't love. Like their tastes are just all over the place, and it's probably very like greatest hits. There's probably a lot of greatest hits. Oh, I like this band. Like they're not diving into albums and B-sides. Like how obsessed are we with B-sides and live
Right. Art and
shows
it
and
takes. Yeah.
yeah. Like
I
they're
had
not
so many
going like
Prince things. Yeah.
like they do a little bit, but not as much as we did. But their knowledge is so incredible. Like and they have so much stuff they know, like everything about today's music. They're still totally up on today's music.
Yeah, I think there's the spectrum of like how much, it's I don't know how they do it. You're right. I don't know how they do it. I
It's
know my
fantastic. It is fantastic.
Yeah, I know my daughter like the new Tyler album came out and
They
like
don't
she put it on and she like kind of knew I was like, how do you know this? This has been out for like 4 days. How do you
right.
know this like
Like
by heart?
they don't know the movies, they don't know the TV shows, they don't, you know what I mean? But the
Yeah.
music, they totally know it all.
Mm.
So
Um, so I'm out as far as like the Millar stuff. I read the crossover thing he had last year,
big
but
game.
I'm like totally out of like everything else. I
Well,
haven't read Prodigy. I don't think I read the
a couple
first
month
Prodigy
break.
series.
No.
Yeah,
Did you see
I never read Nightclub.
Mark Miller is super easy to read. He's
Mm, sure.
he's one of the best writers when it comes to just here's a cool idea, here's a bunch of other cool ideas. So I've always been a fan. I love all his Miller World stuff. I was trying to push all of you guys to read Big Game, but I really want you to read the build up to Big Game because Big Game's great on its own, but it's so much more impactful when you are aware of all of these characters.
Right. Well, I read the Nemesis, I guess, because I remember the first one. I still
Right.
remember the first one a bit, so I wanted to read the new one. That was where him and his break.
That's the only book he kind of did a reboot on.
Right.
So I
And
mean,
that
I'm not.
is
I
probably
hate.
because of McNiven. Yeah, that's probably because of like an agreement, maybe.
I I don't think it's so much that it's just he had a different idea of where to take the character. So certain things in the first miniseries don't fit in with the new miniseries because he wanted to make the character fit in with the wanted characters.
I see. Right. Okay.
So, but anyway, so he's working on 4 monthly series right now. They're all miniseries. They've all been done for probably a year and a half. He works way ahead, but like sometimes he'll put out 4 books at once, which is what's going on right now. So the new Prodigy and the new Nemesis ends next month. So this week I did do a catch up of all the current miniseries, and everything's not. I thought Prodigy was only 4 issues. Here it's 5 issues,
Mm.
and but so I read Magic Order, read Prodigy, read everything. They're all good. They're all solid. A lot of cool ideas. He's very good with giving happy endings. People may die, but the endings are usually good,
Mm.
and usually the people who need to get what they deserve get it because he's a big Superman fan, so he believes in justice in a weird, skewed way.
Right. Right.
Um, but I wanted to see Jupiter's Legacy because I read the 2 issues of that are out, and they are fantastic. Like Tommy Lee Edwards is drawing and coloring it,
Oh yeah.
and you can. I had a complaint with you with the last miniseries because I felt like the artwork I couldn't quite tell some of the characters apart.
Hmm.
It was very dark and then colored. It was the characters were very dark. But like with this one, he did a weird, different style. Everything looks a little more cleaned up. The colors are better.
Yeah, I got this. I got a set of this for $5.
That's great. That's a
And
fun series.
It's also Tom Lee Edwards covers all of them, and I had to be you have to trust it. So if you buy a set in a store, you just see the first one and the last one. So I was like, because I've almost bought this in dollar bins a bunch of times, but I've never seen. I always see the Jim Chung #1.
Correct.
I hardly ever see the Tom Lee Edwards one. So, but speaking of that, but he
Good.
colored this, I think, too. Who's lettering that? That's more the most important question.
Right.
Is it John Workman? You want to check that
Yes,
out?
it is 100% John Workman. I can already tell you that
I
because
want
we
to say
love.
that, well, Tommy Lee Edwards and John Paul Leon, I believe, worked under when Simonson either he was teaching at somewhere, Chicago. I'm not sure where they were. I want to say Tommy Lee Edwards, Sean Martinborough, um, because there's a book that I had recently where it's all of them, and they did like an annual, and Walt Simonson wrote it. So it's like it was literally a handoff. Like it was literally like Walt Simonson, here's hey class, got to put this annual out. You're drawing it, guys. Which is kind of cool because that's kind of what Kubert did. Kind of what Joe Kubert did with a lot of stuff. That's how like different catalogs would come out, and it would be like Rick Veitch, Tom Mandrake, Jan Dursma, Andy, Adam. Like it was just a bunch of people doing it. So because what's the order? We have Quietly doing 2 miniseries for Jupiter's
Correct.
Legacy.
He did. Is it 2 or 3? Or if he did 3, they're 3 very short miniseries, like 1 through 4, and then 5 through 8, and then it was the Jupiter's. What was that miniseries in the middle? It started off with Wilfredo Torres drawing it
Right. It was basically
because it was Jupiter's Children, right?
mhm.
And then they couldn't use children or something, so they went with Jupiter's Legacy.
Yeah. No research. No research.
No,
We
no
need
research.
no research, bud.
But anyway, so they did the one miniseries that basically is the Mad Men era of Jupiter's Legacy, where they're all like in the 50s and
Mhm.
they're all young and cool, and And then Chris Sprouse was supposed to finish it because Wilfredo Torres, tragically, his wife dies after doing a couple
Oh wow.
issues. So Chris Sprouse takes over. He only does like an issue or two, and I kind of forget who finishes it. But then Quitely comes back for the next series, and it looks just incredible. It's incredibly gorgeous the whole way through. And then Tommy Lee Edwards takes over for the last miniseries, and it's very jarring.
Right.
I'm
Right.
obviously we like his artwork, but it's just like when you get Quitely, you want something. If you can't get Quitely, you want someone like Quitely. Like I would have taken a Chris Burnham or uh, Jose Villarubia.
Mhm.
Oh,
Villalobos.
Villaramos? Villalobos, yeah.
Villalobos.
Yeah.
Ramon Villalobos.
Ramon Villalobos. Phenomenal artist.
Ian
But
Bertram. Doing Ian Bertram.
Ian Bertram, he's really
Yeah.
good. He's really good.
Yeah. That would be
Right.
in the same vein.
And then you might as well go Stocco or Raphael Grandpa, or just keeps going. Like these are all stylized artists we really
Hey,
enjoy.
speaking of Raphael Grandpa, did that Batman series ever end? What
No,
happened?
no, it did not.
Oh my God, man.
I know we got 2 issues. They're gorgeous looking. They're absolutely gorgeous looking.
They put out multiple versions of it, right? Because they put it out and then they put it out in black and white like a month later. Each of
Yeah,
them, I believe, had noir versions, which is pretty cool. But like, come on, man. And I want to say that they shelved the Greg Smallwood Batman the Barbarian because it's probably the same thing. Because Human Target took like 18 months to come out. So it's
just finish
fine.
these. Listen, pay these guys and let
Yeah.
them finish the books.
You skybound it. That's
Skybound it.
from what I understand, that's what Skybound does. Skybound just pays the project and then like it'll come out on time. You
Yeah,
know, you never there's not a late Skybound.
and
That's just
it's a
how it goes.
commitment. It's a commitment that you'll get the book and it won't get canceled because it's already
Right.
paid for. So even if the sales drip, they're still aware of like, you know what, it's still worth finishing this book out. Get it to a number where we can at least trade it or hardcover it to try
Yeah.
to recoup as much money as possible, and then sell to the European market as hardcovers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, last book on the list you have is Thundercats 10.
Yeah. Look, they're just. I think all this is working. I think this is ridiculous. Like, do you think I would care about that lizard guy
Nope,
at
slide.
all? I almost cried in this one.
It
Like,
was good.
tough one. In
Yeah,
like the middle, I was like, oh no. Like, I was like, wait, no. I was like, so. And this is a guest artist too. So that's the other thing too has been scaled up too. Like I feel like guest artists we would always cringe at. Uh, Whoever's drawing the alternate like X-Men, who's not Stegman, Netho Diaz, I think his name is. he's drawing. I
Yeah.
saw an issue coming out. I'm like, oh, cool. Neto Diaz is drawing that. I'm like, oh crap. Like I'm supposed to not like that. I'm supposed to be like, oh man, we're not getting that. But even with the Conan stuff, like Jonas Scharf is doing a couple issues, and and I'm just like, great. Like so, um, I feel like everyone is just having like a very specific leveling up of this. So I don't remember who the stars was, but yeah, all of it was just excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, Declan's
Good.
really getting again.
Either he's getting so much more into it. He's
Mhm.
got the feeling. He's just
Got the
got it
theme
right.
on. Do you
And
think
maybe
he just
he's
writes it
learning.
and the theme is just on the whole time? I think that would be great.
I feel like
Can
I
you
feel like
imagine?
I feel like he's reading
Dun, dun,
Transformers a
dun,
little bit too.
dun, 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 dun. Well, I don't. This would have been written. What do you mean? Like, because this is almost like a villain, like
No, no.
one.
What I mean is like the last couple issues, it's been a better book. Like I think the book's getting better month to month. I
Mhm.
I don't think it was particularly strong from issue one.
Yeah, the first arc you didn't like, but you thought was fine.
It was
You know,
fine. It was fine. It's interesting,
right?
but fine. But I feel like this is getting a little darker, a little stronger.
Yeah,
Things have more
last issue
meaning,
was great. Was the best
more
issue.
weight.
Right.
Yes, and it
Correct.
just feels like it's what Skybound's doing with Transformers.
Yeah.
Not, and it's no way similar to it. It just has a similar feel.
Look, I'm just so happy that there's so much stuff. Like we talked about it a few episodes ago. Licensed comics were always bad. And now I'm like,
Where
man,
they were
Flash.
90% bad.
Yeah. Oh man, Flash Gordon's great. Like I can't wait for the next
I
issue of
love it.
Flash
I love Flash
Gordon.
Gordon.
So like it's or I mean, I think if you read the Battle of the Planet stuff,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I read all of it.
the one shot that came out last week was really solid too. Like it just and again they're messing around with art styles. So that was a different art style in the one shots. So that's great. Like the
What do you,
Cat Lobo
what do you,
did the one Galador miniseries, like just
who drew that Speed Racer series for Wildstar? Was it Tommy Yoon?
tell me you
He was
ever
really good. They had some really good artwork in the early 2000 Battle of Planets books, you know.
yeah.
You had Mark
Uh
Brooks, I think, drew number zero. Remember that?
yeah. Yeah. Oh, I guess I was in a different it wasn't I didn't get it here, did I? I don't remember. I don't know. I'm looking at the next segment. We should probably just go to the next
All right,
segment.
well, let's wrap up this reviews for the week.
Reviews for the
Again,
week. We did it again. We
you
did it some more times.
you can
And
if you agree with us, write some comments. If you disagree with us, write some comments
yeah, throw
here.
some comments in there besides Dan. But yeah, so I mean, we're gonna try and, like I said, next week I think it should be a little more interesting because I would like to start a couple segments. I want to do like panel of the week, like because I feel like because a lot of the way that Rob and I digest the books, either digitally, is we can zoom in and we look at stuff. Again, we also zoom in because we can't see very well. So that's one.
Yes.
Number two is that sometimes, and I really the DC app does it better. The DC app, I read some stuff just panel to panel, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of Silver Age. You can read panel to panel, and it's just like, how does this look? And the panel is, essentially this big. You know what I mean? So like
Yes.
that's kind of cool. But now, like I would have put in this week, um, the Batman like Robin year one, like just there's a part where Robin is jumping and his cape is folded a weird way, and it's awesome. It's just small. I think that's what impresses me most. And this could be some digital stuff. I'm not sure if Somni does digital. I am not sure, but
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think, but that's how you can get to that. That's if you watch. I think there was a like a BBC something or other that had Frank Quietly where he was zooming. He zoomed in and drew stuff. Do you remember that?
His
Like
his
that was insane. It was insane.
his ambassador's number one
Yeah, that's what they were showing
is
too. Yeah.
so ridiculous. Like you can keep blowing up the panel, keep blowing the panel, and like there's like a dude on a street with a bar behind it, and you as you blow it up, you can clearly see like alcohol bottles behind them, like just like and it's really inside of the building, like through the door, through the window.
Yeah, and
He
he
went.
does what? He
It
does
took
he
like 2 years.
pencils and then he extra inks or something. I forget exactly how he does, or he does everything digital now.
I'm not positive.
Yeah, I think there's a combination factor.
Whatever he does. keep doing it because I love Frank Whiteley.
Yeah, but I think the visual element, because again, comics is a visual. I think that I want to have, probably of course the cover, especially with the news, you have all the different covers that are coming out, which are incredible. But but there's a couple, again, same thing, a lot of facial expressions here in Thundercats that were just amazing. They were
Yeah,
just, and they're all weird creatures. That kid's a scary looking kid. Like, I mean, it's
yeah.
pretty intense. So, but yeah, so looking forward to next week. We're going to tinker some stuff out a little bit this week, get a little better every day. Um, and then, hit up on the socials, just kind of keep on going. So hit us up. I am idiosyncratic pulp on there. I think I'm going to try and rotate some of my finds. Like I have some, like, even going into, like, look at this cover, look at this, like, Mike Kaluta cover. It's insane.
It's nice.
But do you know who drew Conan the King? Like for a lot of the end of it? It's a Mark Silvestri. Mark Silvestri.
Oh, nice.
And it's Maurice Severin inking Mark Silvestri.
That's interesting.
Come on.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. Conan the Kings are, they're pretty easy. They're pretty easy to get.
Good.
But yeah,
All
stuff
right.
like that is the stuff that I on my idiosyncratic pub will be like kind of like rare finds or surprise bin finds. Like I didn't know this person did that or I didn't. So
Yeah.
that's been a lot of fun.
Which is also what we want to do on this show too.
Mhm.
Showcase some weird stuff. So, all right, yeah. For comment, reach out. Awestruck Comics, Twitter, and a Gmail. Just
Twitter,
Awestruck
Gmail,
Comics.
Twitter, Gmail. I'm on Instagram. And All Star Comics on Instagram. And that's it. And see
So
you in a couple days
have a
for
good Thanksgiving.
deep dive. Oh yeah, that's right. Publish
And
on
come
Thanksgiving. Do I
and come
publish
back.
this Wednesday night? What do you think we do?
This is
Publish on
Tuesday.
Wednesday? Oh, this
Reviews
is Tuesday.
days. Reviews day is Tuesday.
I don't know. Right. So deep
I mean,
dive, we'll do Thanksgiving on deep dive. That's fine.
yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Deep dive into that turkey.
All right. See you, everybody.
I see.